everybody, I'm Nikki. I own Hot Mama Salsa and love to cook at home. So I'm gonna cook things today for you that I cook at home all the time, and I'm gonna cook things that you can do in many different ways and use them in many different ways. So I went to the farmer's market on Saturday and I saw the first nettles of the season. I love going out and foraging nettles. They're all over our area and you can go and pick them for free, and they're delicious and they're super medicinal and they help with allergies, which I have. So I always think anytime I'm eating nettles, I'm doing something good for myself. But they sting. They're called stinging nettles because they are covered by these tiny hairs, so you don't ever want to touch them fresh with your bare hands. When you're out collecting them, you want gloves and you want scissors, and I take tongs. And when you're collecting them out in the wild, you want to just get the fresh spring ones, and you only want the tops. So you'll count down from like the leaf structure 1, 2, 3, and only take those top 3. And really try not to go in an area where dogs can be running around peeing on your nettles. So put the nettles, when you get home, put the nettles in some water. I wash my nettles about 3 times because nettles always have bugs and you'll get like leaves in there and sticks. So I just put them in this bowl and I use my tongs and I just kind of move them around, and bugs are gonna kind of come to the top. These ones were from the farmer's market. They may have washed them already because they're pretty nice and clean, but depending where you are out in the wild. But I'm going to show you, try and show you what they look like. There is the plant, and this one has quite a thick stem, so we'll show you what to do with that. So there is an old wives' tale remedy that these will help arthritis. So if you want to sting yourself in your arthritis area, I'm a little bit too scared to try it because I know what it's like to be stung. Okay, I'm going to rinse, dump the water. And I'm gonna wash them out two more times. Okay, so now I'm back with my rinsed nettles, and to reduce the sting on the nettles, you're gonna put them in boiling water. So any way that you cook nettles, once you cook them, it will deactivate the stinger, and they will know, and then you'll be able to use them. I like to just throw them in some boiling water, and it really happens right away. So they'll really deactivate right away, but you'll see the color change. They'll get much brighter, super beautiful. You want to make sure you get them all submerged so you don't have a big stem sticking out to get you. So I'm just going to get them all in here together, and then I'm going to take them all out in my pot. Okay, so they're all bright green. You really see it's like a minute. You only need them in there for a minute. And I'm going to remove them all. And I let them cool a little bit. They really have a distinct smell. It's kind of a meaty smell. They pair so well with mushrooms because they have that kind of meaty umami, I think. And when I have my nettle water, I always save that nettle water and I feed it to my plants. I just think they might like it because it has all that nutrients in it. So after I have cooked my nettles and I let them cool a little bit, I try and squeeze the water out. So I'll just take it, squeeze the water out. And I like to get rid of these big stems because they can be kind of chewy. So I'll just pull the leaves off and then make my pile of greens. And then your nettles are gonna be ready to work with, and you can add them to stir fries, you can add them to soups. You can also just saute them and cook them down longer and add your flavorings that way. But we're gonna put them in a taco today. Okay, so our nettles are now ready to cook with. I've really kind of pressed the water out of them, and they look kind of like what frozen spinach looks like after you defrost it. So I'm going to use it today to make a nettle and mushroom breakfast taco. So I'm going to start in with some garlic. I'm going to use probably 1 clove. This is up to your discretion how much you like garlic. I've been eating a lot of garlic lately. I think seasonally your body wants different things. So I'm just slicing this garlic super thin because I'm going to leave it in thin whole slices and let it get crispy with the mushrooms. And I just kind of throw off the little bottom. And then I got these shiitakes at the farmer's market, and I'm going to pull, they're like little tiny baby ones. I'm going to pull the stems out because the stems can sometimes be tough. And you can save these for your vegetable stock. They're really, really great flavor to vegetable stock. One tip when you're doing food prep, there's so many scraps. You can keep a little bin or bag in the freezer with your scraps until you have enough to make stock. I always like to have stock in the freezer because you can pull it out and flavor rice or make a quick soup. And if you have a richly flavored stock in the fridge, you can have an easy soup that tastes delicious really fast. So I'm just gonna take these shiitakes and do another thin slice. And you can use any kind of mushrooms for this taco. It's completely up to your preference and time of year. You can use wild mushrooms. Depending which kind you use, the cook time will be a little bit different because if they're real watery mushrooms, you'll want to cook the water out first. So those are ready. We've got our pan heating up here. Can you see it? So I'm gonna put a little bit of olive oil in the pan. It's sizzling, and I'm gonna throw in my mushrooms and my garlic. And I'm gonna let those. Now I admit I've never used this burner before, so I'm not sure on the heat. So I'm turning it down a little bit. And I'm gonna chop my nettles while that's cooking. So this is a dish I do a lot as a side dish. The structure of this dish where I do garlic and mushrooms and then I add any kind of green. It can be kale, it can be chard, it can be collard greens, and then I add our guajillo chili oil to it. So I'm just stirring these around a little bit, and I'm gonna let these saute until the mushrooms soften. This is pretty high heat, so it's gonna take maybe 2 minutes. And when I see the garlic getting toasty, I'm gonna keep moving it and I'll know it's almost ready. You don't want the garlic to burn. So, this is our guajillo chili oil. It's one of our Mexican style chili oils. This is made with a chili that's not quite as spicy, named the guajillo. It's a chili that's really fruity and rich and has a slightly smoky taste to it. So it's chili oil, dried chilies, garlic, sesame seeds, and we use peanut oil for ours. So this is an easy way to add really rich flavor to anything. So we're gonna add in the nettles now. And you can really smell the garlic. So see how that's looking? And then, once I add in the nettles, I'm gonna stir up my chili oil and add about a tablespoon. Just drizzle it around. You wanna stir it up so you get all the chilies and the oil mixed. And then you're just gonna combine everything and really get everything coated with that chili oil. And this is gonna happen fast. This doesn't take any time at all. You just wanna warm those nettles through and get everything coated with the chili oil. Okay, so those are ready to come off the heat, and I'm gonna place them into a bowl. And you wanna just just maybe wipe out your pan because we're gonna use this pan again. Okay. So I'm gonna crack an egg. I'm gonna whip up 1 egg. So I always like to put a little bit of salt in the raw egg when I'm whipping it for scrambled eggs, because I read one time in Cook's Illustrated that that helps to break down the proteins and make fluffier eggs. So I've always done it since then. So that's it, just salt, whip up 1 egg. I'm gonna get my tortilla ready. We're gonna make a breakfast taco that ends up almost being like a crepe. It's super delicious. Okay, so we've got our taco filling, our egg, and our tortilla ready. You can do this with both corn and flour tortillas, whichever you like. So we've got our pan heating up. We're gonna add a little bit more oil to the pan. And you do want the oil to kind of coat the pan for this. And you want it to be hot when you add this egg in, because you want the egg to bubble. So I see it kind of jumping, and I'm adding my egg in. Oh, it didn't sizzle as much as I wanted it to, but it's gonna get going here. I'm gonna move my egg just a little bit around, so I want my egg to kind of fill the shape of this pan. And then I'm gonna right away put my toppings, as much as you like, in there. I forgot to mention, you could serve that as a side dish. And then you press your tortilla into the egg. Really get it in there while the egg is still raw on that one side. And I don't know if you can see, but it's bubbling up all around the sides. And we're just gonna cook that for about a minute, letting the egg brown on the other side. Okay, so I'm gonna flip it. Get your spatula under there and flip it all the way over, and then let that tortilla really get crispy on that other side. And sometimes the tortilla is gonna have an air bubble in it, so it's gonna kind of puff up underneath, but don't worry about that because it'll fall back down after you take it off. But you can see the egg started to get a little brown. All the filling is just cooked right into that egg. And you salted your egg, and you have the flavor from the chili oil in your filling, so you're really not gonna need any more seasoning at this point. If you're questioning when it's done, you can just take a quick peek. You want it to be a little brown. And then you take your taco off, and you just fold it over. And you see how it got nice and brown and crispy on the other side? And then you just let it cool for a minute. And then you're ready for a delicious breakfast taco. I forgot to tell you that doing the taco this way, where you cook the tortilla into the egg, especially when you use a flour tortilla, it almost makes this crepe-like texture, and you get that extra flavor and deliciousness.